What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. This week, we're coming at you with our Friday episode. The last episode, basically until free agency may start next week. So I wanted to come at you with some free agents I think you can target for cheap that could really benefit themselves kind of coming into the free agent season. Now, before we start the video, please subscribe, like the video, share it as always. I really appreciate you guys coming back. And I love seeing your names down in the comments. So let me know what you're thinking of all the content I'm putting out. Now, before we get to my three cheap guys I think we should be acquiring before free agency, I want to first start off by saying there are a lot of other free agents I do think could benefit from this period. I've just spoken about them quite a bit. The Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, I think all contenders should be considering those guys. Kirk Cousins, I brought up in a buy low video very recently. So keep those guys in mind. I'm not going to fully cover them today, but I do think for the price you're paying, they are currently good buys as well. So to get kicked off today, the first guy we're going to talk about is someone that I am a very big fan of, or was at one point due to his route running, and that's going to be Darnell Mooney coming in at wide receiver 83 on KTC, which is very, very low. Now, Mooney is going to be a free agent. He did reportedly turn down a fairly lucrative deal before the season that was just reported, about $30 million for 3 years. So I do not know if Mooney's going to get that much money in this free agency just due to the really good influx of talent in the rookie class. But I do think Mooney is a very, very good route runner. And I think if he finds himself in the right situation, he could be a very good wide receiver too on certain teams. Now, I'm not just going to be like, oh, what if he goes to Kansas City? But, if he does go to Kansas City, awesome. But I do think there are a lot of good landing spots for some of these wide receivers that if they find themselves there in free agency, I think if you buy them now, their value may go up once they find their new home. So Mooney's stats last year, nothing really crazy. 31 catches, 414 yards, 1 TD, 14.1 target share. I really just think he is a better player than the opportunity he was given in Chicago. DJ Moore really was the passing game with Cole Kmet as option 2. So I think for Mooney, if he finds himself on a pass-happy offense or where he's just more involved, I do think his numbers are going to show it. Now, this next one, if you guys want to laugh, I totally understand. Russell Wilson, let's ride boy himself. KTC QB 33, but 33 is super, super low for a guy that I think maybe still has 3 years left of starting life in the NFL. Last year, not a terrible season, honestly, as much as we all made fun of him for being silly and goofy. 3,070 passing yards, 26 TDs, 8 interceptions. He had the most throws under pressure in the league, and he was third in the NFL on completing those pressured throws at 63.6%. So I think a sneaky good year for Russell compared to what it could have been. So let's see if he finds himself in a decent fantasy situation moving forward. I think there's not too terrible of landing spots if he finds himself in the, in Pittsburgh with the Giants, with the Falcons. I don't think he goes to Minnesota. I do think Cousins resigns there. But I think for QB 33, which is not very pricey at all, I think as soon as Russell signs, his value goes up for where he's currently sitting. And that's kind of just a good value play that I like to think of things is if I can acquire someone now for price A and then they go up in the next couple months when news can break, I then am given the choice to either keep them or move on from them again, which I'm happy to play that game. So third guy we're going to talk about today, Curtis Samuel, wide receiver 81 on KTC. Better numbers than Mooney, and he was more involved in the Washington offense last year. 62 catches, 613 yards, 5 total TDs, 4 receiving, 16.3% target share. I think for Samuel, when he's involved, he produces. And he's had some flashes where he's been a startable fantasy asset. Kind of over the last 3 years, he has gone through stretches in each season where I think it's kind of shown that he could be a valuable player. So I'm curious to see where he lands and how he will get involved. He is 27.5 basically. So I still think he has a good 3-year window left to kind of be a semi-productive fantasy wide receiver. And, I'm not saying Curtis Samuel is going to be wide receiver 20, but let's not pretend that wide receiver 81 on KTC is a super expensive asset to acquire. And that's kind of what I'm saying here. I think he could kind of go up to, maybe jump 20 spots, 15 spots just with the right signing, and you're probably not paying much to acquire him now, I would suggest something very similar to what I was kind of saying with Zay Jones in my last video, which is maybe pick swapping around and kind of get Curtis Samuel, Darnell Mooney. Mooney would, I think, be more pricey to acquire along with Wilson. But I think someone like Curtis Samuel, you could maybe move from 3.2 to 3.12 and pick up Curtis Samuel. And there's really not too much data to support that you have a better chance of hitting on a player at 3.2 than 3.12. You just are higher up. So technically you are higher up in your own personal rankings, which is always nice. But it gets very close. And especially in this class, I have a feeling that 2.5 through like 3.12 is going to be a lot closer than people think. Just talent-wise, it's very deep. And I don't think excelling yourself up there, I think if you can gain some valuable assets for moving down, I think that would be a pretty valuable thing here. So keep in mind, go get these guys before free agency. I just think that their value could potentially grow moving into it comes down to it. Go get those other running backs too. I didn't talk about them too much on the show today, but I do think that they will have good value moving into next year or two, especially once they find a team. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hit subscribe. Please keep coming back. We're going to get you in your league next year. You guys have a good one.